I've always used the page editor in my online course platform to create my course sales page, first in Teachable, and then I moved on over to Podia. But I was never totally happy with how they came out, and more importantly, they weren't converting customers. So when I decided to build a new evergreen sales funnel for my online course, I knew that I needed a different page editing tool in order to create a beautiful, effective, highly converting sales page experience. I narrowed my options down to two. First, Squarespace, because that's what I currently use for my main website and I wouldn't have to sign up for yet another subscription to run my business. And two, Leadpages, because I've always liked all of the sales pages that I've seen that have been designed with Leadpages, many of which have worked on me as a student. And this is what I ended up creating. An eye-catching, comprehensive, story-driven sales page that's optimized for conversion and one that I'm super proud of. So what did I use to create this masterpiece? Well, initially I decided to go with Squarespace because I didn't want to tack on yet another subscription and I figured I could just start with what I had. But after a few hours of trying to make it work with Squarespace, I got so frustrated that I actually decided to try Leadpages, and I'm so glad I did because I haven't looked back. In this video, I'm going to talk about why I chose Leadpages over Squarespace and why you should too when you are creating and designing a beautiful, effective sales page for your online course, or really any sales page where you're offering a service or product online. First, templates. Both Squarespace and Leadpages have several beautifully designed templates that you can use as the foundation for your new sales page. However, with Squarespace, there are certain features, functionalities, and capabilities that are only available depending on the template that you choose from at the beginning. Things like a content sidebar that help people navigate through your blog, to navigation bars, to video banners, like all these different kinds of functionalities. These features are either unavailable or available depending on the template that you pick. And because my main reason for choosing Squarespace was to not have to tack on yet another subscription and use what I had, that meant that I had to use the template that my main site was already using. But I didn't pick that template thinking that I was going to make a sales page. So as soon as I tried to design a new sales page within that theme of my main website, it just was not working. Leadpages templates are truly templates in that they're really kind of just like skins that you could just customize or drag and drop your content and change colors and fonts and images and all of that, or end up scrapping the whole thing and just building your own thing from scratch. There is no consequence to the kind of template that you choose from at the beginning. This was so frustrating to me because for a platform that touts being a beginner-friendly platform, I felt like you really had to know what you were envisioning before even selecting a template to start designing in Squarespace. And they make it seem like it's inconsequential, but there were certain features that I didn't think of in the beginning that I wanted for my website that I could no longer do because of the template that I had originally selected. And as of me making this video, I know Squarespace has a new version, 7.1, where all of the templates in 7.1 all have the same features, but there were other reasons that I decided to go with Leadpages, the second of which is design blocks. So both Squarespace and Leadpages are very drag and drop. In Squarespace, if you want to add text, you just drag a text block. If you want to add an image, you add an image block, and so on. Same thing with Leadpages. The difference is that in Leadpages, you can actually insert design blocks or sections or chapters or however you want to look at it to help you design your whole page and kind of lay the foundation as you're building it out in advance. With Squarespace, you kind of have to build linearly, and that's just not how my mind works. For example, I knew that on my sales page, I was going to have two sections with the pricing. I knew I was gonna have a pricing block towards the beginning just to introduce the offer, and then somewhere towards the bottom, after a customer has read through everything that my course entails and all of that, they can see the second pricing block again when they reach the bottom of the page. In Squarespace, you would have to build that section from scratch again. In Leadpages, you could just duplicate that specific section and drag it to wherever you want it to go. It seems so like, why doesn't everyone do this? I don't know. I can't believe like you wouldn't have this, because what I ended up doing was pretty much designing template sections or section templates that I would just duplicate and drag around and rearrange throughout the page and then just fill in the content later. In addition to duplicating, you could also hide sections, which is also like super helpful because you can A/B test, right? You can have a section that has whatever call to action or whatever copy. If that doesn't work, you can hide that section and just show another section that just has one sentence or one picture different, and then test that. So you don't have to erase that section. It doesn't disappear forever. It's just hidden, so it's not publicly displayed. That is not possible in Squarespace. And I think this is fine if the page that you're trying to build is very short and to the point and doesn't have a lot of content on it. But if you are trying to design a sales page, which I really think needs to, convey the value of the course, really reach the customer at, in terms of the pain point and passion points and all of that, into like showcasing your expertise and displaying testimonials and showing a preview of the course, like doing all of these things, that is so hard to do in Squarespace. And finally, the editor. The actual editors for both Squarespace and Leadpages are very, very easy to use, especially if you're someone who has no experience with web design, you don't know any coding, like definitely both are very beginner friendly. However, with Squarespace, it felt like I always had to kind of find a workaround for some of the things that I was trying to do. For example, one of the things that I wanted to be able to do was to create a full width color block that would have large text on it. So, it would show up kind of like as an accent block, but then also break up sections throughout my sales page. That is impossible to do in Squarespace. It was like, because my template didn't have that functionality, I now had to look up some code or some injection thing in the header tag to kind of try to do that. I couldn't believe that I was having such trouble with something that should be relatively simple. And I felt like I just kept running into those problems over and over and over again, where I honestly had to have a separate browser tab open just to find workarounds. With Leadpages, everything that I wanted to do, I could actually do. And even though it's easy to use, it's so much more robust than Squarespace, and not in a way that's intimidating or, if you're thinking like, oh, it's robust, so it must be harder to use. That's not it at all. There's just more ways to customize. So here's an example. This is my sales page that I originally designed in Podia, and look at how much spacing there is between text here. It's like half a page of just blank space of padding or margin or whatever this is, and there was no way to remove this. With Leadpages, every single content block has its own padding and margin that you can adjust, but then also the section as a whole also has its own padding and margin that you can adjust. So you can really tailor everything down to the pixel. And of course, because of the way that you design with blocks, if you end up making something that you don't like, you could just duplicate it and hide the other section and play with the new section or delete that or whatever. It's just so much easier to use, even though it has more capability and customization. So overall, I would not have been able to create this sales page using Squarespace, just simply put. When I was using Squarespace, I found myself hitting roadblock after roadblock after roadblock, and I found myself having to almost shrink my original vision for my sales page in order to fit the restrictions of Squarespace. With Leadpages, it was the total opposite. Not only was I able to bring my vision for my sales page to life, it also seemed like the possibilities were endless. I was actually having fun designing my sales page and wanting to kind of tinker and play around and customize. So of course, what I ended up designing ended up being better what I had originally thought, because I would come up with new ideas as I was going through the process and I was able to implement them. So even though it ended up being another subscription that I had to pay for, I'm so happily paying for it. I love Leadpages. I almost just converted my entire, all my pages to Leadpages because it's just so much easier and it looks so much better. So if you are designing your sales page and you want to give Leadpages a try, check out the link in the description underneath this video for a free 14-day trial. And honestly, I don't even think it's going to take you 14 days to decide that Leadpages is the way to go. Spend an afternoon or even challenge yourself. See what you can create in 30 minutes or an hour, and I promise what you create is going to be better than any other platform out there. Also, this video is not sponsored, so if it sounds like it is, it's only because I'm such a fan of this product and I absolutely love it. With that said, if you have any questions, feel free to let me know in the comments. And also, if you are designing a sales page, I would love to know what it is that you're selling. So let me know in the comments and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye!